The film opens with a striking visual, a lion casually walking through the offices of Stratton Oakmont Incorporated, giving the impression that this could be an advertisement for the firm itself. This short, stylish sequence quickly establishes the extravagant and audacious tone of the entire movie, especially as it transitions into scenes of the actual office environment and the energetic, chaotic brokers we'll follow throughout the story. We are introduced to Jordan Belfort, a man born into a middle-class family in Queens, New York. By the age of just 26, Jordan was already earning a staggering $49 million a year, and yet, he felt it wasn't nearly enough. At the peak of his career, Jordan had everything a man could dream of: a wildly successful, albeit highly questionable, brokerage firm, a luxurious mansion, a beautiful wife named Naomi with whom he had 2 children, a private jet, 6 high-end cars, 3 horses, 2 vacation homes, and a massive yacht. However, behind the glamour, his life was fueled by a dangerous cocktail of excessive drug abuse, alcoholism, an uncontrollable addiction to sex, and a constant need for adrenaline-inducing thrills. But above all these, Jordan had a favorite drug that outshone them all: money. We are then taken back in time to when Jordan was just 22 years old and entering Wall Street for the very first time. It's the beginning of his career, and we see him arriving at the brokerage firm where he would start learning the ropes of the finance world. Although he's treated like a nobody by his immediate boss, he quickly becomes mesmerized by one of the higher-ups at the firm, Mark Hanna, a charismatic figure who makes significantly more money and seems to live life without limits. Hanna takes an interest in Jordan and offers him some insight into the so-called high life of Wall Street. When the stock market opens that day, Jordan is overwhelmed by the sheer energy and madness of the trading floor. He is instantly hooked, intoxicated by the electric rush of money moving through the air. Later, Hanna takes Jordan out to lunch and gives him a crash course in how to truly succeed in the financial world. He suggests that drugs and sex are essential tools to stay focused on the relentless numbers game. But beyond the chaos, he imparts one core truth about being a broker. It's not about making clients rich, it's about making yourself rich. The job, he says, is to sell clients' dreams, while you're secretly stuffing real cash into your own pockets. At this stage, young Jordan still wrestles with the moral implications of such a philosophy. But, as we will come to see, his conscience quickly fades, and he embraces this self-serving outlook without hesitation. Over the next 6 months, Jordan dives deep into the business, studying hard to obtain his stockbroker's license, which would allow him to legally buy and sell on the market. But just as he officially becomes licensed, disaster strikes. The stock market crashes in what is now known as Black Monday. Like many others, Jordan loses his job, facing a grim start to his new career. Desperate and unsure of his next move, Jordan sits at the dinner table with his first wife, scouring newspapers for job opportunities and discussing their uncertain financial future. Eventually, he comes across a single job listing for stockbrokers. Given the market's condition, he's skeptical about what kind of firm would be hiring. Still, he follows through and walks into a small, unimpressive firm located in a strip mall, a far cry from the Wall Street offices he had dreamed of. There, Jordan learns about something completely unfamiliar to him: penny stocks. The man conducting the interview seems like a total oddball compared to the polished professionals Jordan had worked with previously. He explains that the firm deals exclusively in pink sheet stocks, cheap, low-value shares from companies with very little capital. Jordan is puzzled until the man tells him something jaw-dropping. Brokers earn a 50% commission on these sales. Though legality seems to exist in a murky gray area, Jordan immediately recognizes the enormous potential for profit. Tapping into his natural sales ability, Jordan begins calling potential investors and soon realizes he can make a fortune by exaggerating or outright lying about the value of these stocks. His boldness impresses his new coworkers, and it isn't long before he's bringing in substantial income. His success catches the attention of his neighbor, Donnie Azoff, who is astonished by how much Jordan earns. Donnie immediately quits his job and insists that Jordan hire him on the spot. Jordan agrees, and the two men begin what would become a long and notorious professional partnership. Donnie also becomes the first person to fully introduce Jordan to the world of recreational drugs. Fueled by ambition and narcotics, they decide to start their own firm. Jordan begins recruiting friends and acquaintances, people he believes have raw talent for selling. Most of them are low-level drug dealers, but Jordan is confident that he can mold them into top-tier brokers. At an informal gathering, Jordan presents them with the ultimate sales test. He hands them a pen and tells them to sell it to him. Brad, one of the men at the table, immediately grasps the concept. He doesn't just talk about the pen, he creates a demand for it. This opens the door for Jordan to teach his crew about the fundamentals of salesmanship, lessons they'll internalize over time. Alongside Donnie, the core team of Jordan's newly formed firm includes Robbie, Alden, Chester, and a guy named Rugrat, who actually has a law degree. As they begin generating serious revenue, Jordan realizes they can earn far more by targeting wealthier clients. So he trains his team to sound educated and confident, transforming them from rough amateurs into persuasive, articulate salesmen. Eventually, Jordan rebrands the company as Stratton Oakmont, and their journey to wealth truly takes off. Their rapid success grabs the attention of Forbes magazine and, unfortunately, also the FBI. Forbes dubs Jordan the Wolf of Wall Street, recognizing the darker side of his operations. Jordan portrays himself as a sort of Robin Hood, turning lower-class men into millionaires. But the reality is much less noble. They're all lining their own pockets, especially Jordan's. Ironically, the Forbes article, though critical, makes Jordan a celebrity. Ambitious brokers from all over the country start flooding his office, desperate to join his now famous firm. Stratton Oakmont becomes a madhouse of wealth, testosterone, drugs, and unfiltered debauchery. To keep things from spiraling completely out of control, Jordan hires his father as a kind of internal enforcer, responsible for curbing unnecessary expenses and maintaining a semblance of order. The film then cuts to one of the firm's infamous parties, which marks a major turning point in Jordan's personal and professional life. This party becomes a catalyst for everything that follows. First, we see Jordan drowning in his favorite drug, Quaaludes, known as Ludes. He and his friends have even devised a system for maximizing the drug's effects to boost their creativity while scheming new ways to make money. Second, during one of these drug-fueled brainstorm sessions, Donnie comes up with a significant idea. He mentions a former classmate named Steve Madden, who has become a prominent shoe designer, a name that will play an important role later in the story. The third major event at the party is Jordan's first encounter with Naomi, the woman who would become his second wife. He falls for her instantly and begins an affair even before divorcing his first wife. Eventually, after handing over the divorce papers, he and Naomi move into a lavish apartment together. By this time, Jordan is already deeply entrenched in illegal financial practices. He starts using people like Brad to hold stocks under their names. These stand-ins are known as rat holes. Jordan manipulates the price of a particular stock, Brad sells it, and most of the cash is funneled back to Jordan, all in hard currency. To shield himself from legal trouble and scrutiny by the SEC, Securities and Exchange Commission, Jordan hires an attorney named Manny Riskin, a man Jordan calls the voice of doom. Meanwhile, Jordan treats SEC investigators with absolute disdain, even going so far as to bug the room where they work to monitor their activities. While the SEC combs through Stratton Oakmont's paperwork, Jordan pulls off another major, and illegal, scheme. He rigs the initial public offering, IPO, of a company, ensuring that when shares become available to the public, they're first sold to his inner circle at a low price. These insiders then resell the shares at a huge profit, handing a cut back to Jordan. Flush with cash from this operation, Jordan plunges even deeper into excess. After proposing to Naomi, he embraces the high-octane lifestyle outlined at the beginning of the movie, a life powered by greed, drugs, luxury, and nonstop indulgence. Jordan's story continues with an outrageous bachelor party in Las Vegas that costs him nearly $2 million. Soon after, he marries Naomi in the Bahamas, surrounded by friends, colleagues, and his entire firm. During the wedding, Jordan meets Naomi's British aunt, Emma, a seemingly minor character at the time who would later play a crucial role in his financial dealings. As a wedding gift, Jordan surprises Naomi with the luxurious yacht previously mentioned, and the newlyweds spend their honeymoon aboard it. After the honeymoon, they return to one of the most lavish and expensive properties in the world, their home, staffed with housemates, landscapers, and even 2 full-time security guards working in alternating shifts. However, it takes only a year and a half for cracks to appear in their marriage. Jordan's uncontrollable drug addiction and compulsive sexual behavior begin to strain their relationship. Professionally, however, Jordan is thriving. Stratton Oakmont is on the verge of launching the highly anticipated Steve Madden IPO. Jordan and Donnie secretly own a staggering 85% of Steve Madden's stock, not under their own names, but through a network of rat holes or stand-ins who hold the shares on their behalf. This ownership structure is completely illegal, but the duo is prepared to manipulate the situation to their advantage and generate massive profits by pressuring their brokers to aggressively sell the stock. Their strategy works phenomenally well, so well in fact, that it draws increased attention from the FBI. Agent Patrick Denham begins carefully mapping Stratton Oakmont's meteoric rise and tracking just how quickly Jordan's wealth is accumulating. With profits soaring and federal suspicions mounting, Jordan receives an alarming call from the videographer who shot his wedding. The man informs him that the FBI has subpoenaed all of the footage, triggering Jordan's panic. Seeking advice, Jordan turns to a private investigator, a former cop, who has been advising him behind the scenes. The PI reveals everything he knows about Agent Denham and warns Jordan that Denham is trying to provoke him into making a mistake. He advises Jordan not to confront or speak with the agent directly. But Jordan, ignoring the advice, invites Denham onto his yacht under the guise of a friendly chat. Initially, Jordan maintains a smooth tone, even offering the agent a list of his associates. But he eventually shifts gears and tries to outright bribe Denham. The agent plays along briefly, allowing Jordan to talk himself into deeper trouble, but ultimately shuts him down, making it clear he's not for sale. The rejection throws Jordan into a fury, followed by paranoia. He starts desperately looking for ways to hide his money before the government seizes it. Luckily, Rugrat, Jordan's lawyer and longtime friend, connects him with Jean-Jacques Sorel, a Swiss banker he knew from law school. Jordan, Donnie, and Rugrat fly to Switzerland to meet with Sorel, but the journey is a disaster. Jordan, high on Quaaludes the entire flight, arrives in Geneva strapped to his seat, barely conscious. At the bank, Sorel explains Swiss financial regulations and introduces them to a few legal loopholes. One key method for hiding their money involves opening accounts under the names of EU citizens, preferably trusted associates who wouldn't raise red flags. That's when Jordan remembers Aunt Emma. Since the UK was still part of the EU at that time, she qualifies. He easily convinces her to cooperate, as she seems to genuinely like him. But there's a problem. Jordan and Donnie have far too much cash to move using just one rat hole. They recruit Brad's new wife, Chantal, who is Slovenian, and therefore also holds an EU passport. After a test run, they discover that the process will take too long if only Chantal is involved. So Brad enlists Chantal's entire Slovenian family to help with the transfers. During the planning stage, Donnie reminds everyone that his money needs to be transferred too. This sparks an argument with Brad, who demands that Donnie meet him sober and complete the drop-off discreetly. The exchange doesn't go as planned. Donnie taunts Brad during the handoff, and things spiral out of control, even resulting in a police encounter. Brad is arrested and ends up serving a 3-month prison sentence for not ratting anyone out. That night, Donnie shows up at Jordan's house, panicked and bringing along a stash of lemon 714 Quaaludes, a powerful drug that hasn't been manufactured for years. Despite knowing how rare and potent they are, and understanding Donnie probably has ulterior motives, Jordan joins him. Since the Ludes are about 15 years past their expiration date, they don't work immediately, prompting both men to take more and more. What they don't realize is that the drug's delayed release system is still active. When it finally kicks in, it hits them with overwhelming force. Jordan is in the middle of a conversation with his private investigator when the effects hit full throttle. The PI informs him that all his phone lines are bugged by the feds. Barely able to function, Jordan gets a call from Naomi saying that Donnie is acting erratically and speaking to Sorel on the phone. Jordan rushes home, crawling on the floor in a drugged stupor, and finally gets the phone away from Donnie, only for Donnie to start choking moments later. Jordan manages to save his friend's life, using another one of his favorite stimulants to revive him. The following day, Jordan is arrested for crashing his car while under the influence. Luckily, no one is injured, but it's a sobering wake-up call. Under increasing pressure, Riskin advises Jordan to strike a deal with the SEC. He suggests that Jordan plead guilty to a few select charges, pay some fines, and step down from the company, letting Donnie take over. While this wouldn't erase the FBI's concerns over the Steve Madden case, it might limit the agency's ability to prosecute him further. Jordan's father also urges him to take the deal before it's too late. Jordan initially agrees, but once back in the office, he's overwhelmed by the loyalty of his employees and the applause they give him. Overcome with emotion, he retracts his decision and announces that he's staying. When the FBI shows up at the firm shortly afterward, Jordan is proven right about their loyalty. Not one employee cooperates with the investigation. The agents are stalled, and Jordan calls their inquiries nothing more than harassment. Despite being advised not to leave the country, Jordan and Donnie decide to relocate their operations to Italy. Things take a turn for the worse when Rugrat calls to inform them that Steve Madden is dumping all of his remaining shares. Since many of Jordan's holdings are technically in Steve Madden's name, this threatens to collapse their entire stock value. Jordan orders Rugrat to have all other holders sell their shares immediately to drive prices down and turn the stock into near-worthless penny stocks, attempting to minimize the damage. Then, disaster strikes again. Aunt Emma dies, and since the Swiss account was in her name, Jordan must return to Switzerland to claim the funds before the account is locked. On their way to Monaco, they're jumping off point to Switzerland. Their yacht hits a violent storm. The boat nearly sinks, and Jordan, Donnie, and their families are saved by the Italian Coast Guard. In the following 2 years, Jordan tries to turn his life around. He gets clean, stops using drugs, and reinvents himself as a motivational speaker and television personality. But the FBI has built a strong case, and eventually, they arrest him. The reason? Sorel had been arrested on U.S. soil for unrelated crimes. To save himself, he gave up Jordan and his entire operation. Jordan is charged with a range of offenses: money laundering, stock fraud, obstruction of justice, and is placed under house arrest after making bail. As the legal process unfolds, Jordan stands to lose everything: his wealth, his home, and even his wife and children. Donnie promises to support him financially. So, when the FBI offers Jordan a deal to cooperate in exchange for leniency, he refuses at first, unwilling to betray Donnie and the others. However, as his personal life continues to unravel, and after relapsing into drug use again, Jordan realizes that protecting his family might require making tough decisions. He reluctantly agrees to wear a wire, and record conversations at the office in hopes of helping the FBI gather evidence. When he meets with Donnie, though, he has a change of heart. Unable to betray his friend directly, Jordan silently slips him a note warning that he's wearing a wire. He keeps their conversation clean of any incriminating topics. But the damage is already done. Now aware of the surveillance, Donnie uses that very note to save himself by cooperating with the FBI, and in doing so, turns Jordan in. Even though Jordan didn't intend to become an informant, he is now forced to give up everyone else to secure a plea deal. In the end, he serves a relatively short prison sentence, 3 years, in a low-security facility in Nevada. After his release, Jordan reinvents himself once again, this time as a sales coach. He travels the world, teaching others how to become top-tier salespeople, selling them the same dream of financial success that once fueled his rise. The film closes full circle, with Jordan holding out a pen during one of his seminars and asking a member of the audience to sell it to him. A final callback to his roots as a salesman.